So I'm talking to three consultants that I have brought on that I vetted. I trust them. They're really, really smart. They're really experienced. And topic of fundraising comes up, and I have said that I'm confident I can do the fundraising year. And I said to them, we're on a Zoom. I said, okay, here's what I want each of you to do, please. Each of you write down independently in the Zoom chat, what percent of my time you think I should be spending on fundraising. Okay, so three consultants, what percent of my time I should be spending on fundraising? It came up 80, 80, and 90. And then they're like, and what percentage are you doing now? And I'm like, 10, maybe 20. And I'm sitting there like, wow, I guess I need to figure out a way to spend a lot more time asking for money. My name is Dave Kerpen, and I am the candidate.
What does it really take to run for local office? On The Candidate, we're pulling back the curtain on the messy, expensive, and sometimes bizarre world of local politics. Join us as we share the unfiltered truth about what happens before you see those campaign signs pop up in your neighborhood. I'm your host, Jess Milanis. We're following serial entrepreneur Dave Kerpen as he dives headfirst into the world of local politics. Ready for a change in the world? This is your opportunity to be the candidate. Making the right hiring or rental decision isn't just important, it's essential. At AccuData, they provide fast, accurate, and compliant background screening services that help businesses, landlords, and property managers make informed choices with confidence. From criminal background checks to employment verification and credit reports, their comprehensive screenings ensure you hire and lease with peace of mind. And with their easy-to-use client portal, managing background checks has never been simpler. Trust the experts who put accuracy, compliance, and customer service first. Visit AccuDataHoldings.com today and start screening smarter. Did you actually hire the fundraising person?
I did not hire the fundraising consultants. Ironically, these are not fundraising consultants, but they're more like strategy, direct mail, general consultants. But they've done a lot of campaigns. And, part of me, my first thought, admittedly, was a bit of a defensive one. I was like, y'all, are you all saying that because, so I can have a lot of money to pay you? But then I really, I challenged myself and I said, look, I got to trust people on this. I brought these people on. I'm trusting their smart minds. And they're not the first people to tell me, fundraising. John Kamen, who had previously been in the position, had emphasized how important it was, and others that I have talked to have said it's everything. And it's really, I think the good news is that there's a bunch of good news. I'm good at asking for money. I have a very big network, and I'm also going to get crazy creative on this. Like I'm going to do things like. I have a treasurer, and I find myself basically every day there's a conversation that goes, like, can I do this? And she's like, I don't know. Well, I'll ask the Board of Elections, right? So, like, we're going to do some really cool things with merch and poker and, giveaways and all kinds of creative things within the boundaries when she says they're okay. That's all good news. The bad news is, like, it's not fair. It's not fair. Like New York City has New York State has a very, very generous public matching program to level the playing field for fundraising. So if folks are running for New York State positions, and I imagine different states and municipalities have different rules around this, of course. So some of them I'm sure are generous. I can't imagine any state or municipality is this generous, but so New York State matches 8-1. So a $25 donation is $200. $1,000, a $500 donation is $4,000. That's really, really generous, and that's great because it levels the playing field. I don't have that for New York State might it's state. It's not, those are only for statewide positions or New York City wide positions. Here in Long Island, I don't have that. So that ultimately becomes a challenge for me and for anyone else that is a would be elected official. You have to know that fundraising is going to be a very, very big part of it. And I could cry about it and complain about it and say it's not fair, or I can just roll up my sleeves, like literally. Oh, I have two sleeves, literally, and figure out a way to make it work. And I've got to do that. And if that means spending, I'm not going from 10 to 90, but if that means spending 50, 60% of my time on phone calls, organizing events, creating creative ways to get to the. I've been told many times I need to raise at least $1 million. Somebody said to me the other day, if the Republicans are going to raise 3 million, why is $1 million enough? And I said, the good news is I'm so creative with dollars and so efficient with dollars that I know I can win with $1 million versus 3. But it's $1 million is still a lot of money. Like it's $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $1 million. And I'm watching my donations come in every day now, and I'm getting like a couple thousand a day, which is great, but it's still not enough, right? If I do the math, 2,000 a day times, the 200 days until election is 400 grand. So it's still not enough. I've got to step it up, and I will, but it's hard. It's hard. I mean, there are a lot of people that are very, very good at a lot of things that are not good at asking people for money. It's a really, really uncomfortable thing, especially with friends, especially with,
Yeah.
family members. I mean, it's like you could have a very close relationship with someone, and the moment you say, "Hey, can you give me money?" it changes the dynamics forever, arguably, Larry, right? Like people might feel bad or guilty or obligated, or it just adds a new layer of nuance and
Pressure.
challenge to every relationship that I have with people. And that's something. If you're listening and you're thinking about this, it's an important about running for office yourself. It's an important thing to think about. It's not, asking for money is something that very, very many people are uncomfortable. I mean, I'm comfortable with it, but it's still uncomfortable. And it still makes, I ask somebody for money, they say no, and then I see them the next day at the grocery store, like,
I see you're buying those high priced eggs. You could have been spending that money on me. JK. Sorry. Didn't mean to go there. Just kidding. No, it does change the dynamics. And, I know being an entrepreneur myself, asking for money, when you ask for that money, the rate of responsibility is directly tied to the amount of money that you ask for. And so there is this big pressure that you need to do well with that money. You need to be smart with the money, and you actually need to produce results. And, living in the world of ROI, KPIs, all the different acronyms that you could possibly come up with, it can be really intimidating as somebody who is not comfortable with having that level of responsibility on their shoulders financially.
well, here's where it gets even harder. As an entrepreneur, there's three types of people can give money for three types of reasons. As an entrepreneur, I raised money from investors, and I raised 5 million. There's a direct investors. If I succeed, they make money. Like there's a direct ROI for their investment in me as a leader in the company that they're investing in, and it's clear as day. Then there's donations to nonprofits. Well, you're not getting an ROI on the investment per se, but you're getting an ROI in how you feel about supporting a cause that you believe in, and knowing that money is going directly to supporting that cause, whether it's fighting hunger or homelessness or whatever that cause is, right? And then there's political contributions. Well, the ROI theoretically is me winning, but you know, in any given race, there can only be one winner. That means that everyone that gives money to a candidate who eventually loses, what the heck is the ROI on that, Jess? I guess it's feeling good between you and the candidate that you supported them, but that's like not necessarily an actual ROI. And then even if and when the candidate wins, what's the ROI? Because I will not take money from anyone that would expect some sort of favor or some sort of, this is where lobbyists come in. This is where like our whole national government is so freaking broken, because what happens is the NRA gives money to a candidate, and then the candidate is beholden to the NRA. The fill in the blank lobby gives money to a candidate, and then the candidate is expected to vote in a way that benefits whoever the donor is. So, like, how messed up is it that the only way to win a campaign is to raise a lot of money, and then the only way to deliver ROI to the people that are giving you money is to sort of vote in a way that would benefit them? Like, that's not cool. So all I can say to people that are, potentially giving me money is, if they're in my town, I'm going to do my best to support small businesses, cut taxes, make government more efficient, make government more likable, responsive, transparent. My platform, and ultimately give you a better life, right? Like Frank Lautenberg would have said, like, make it about them and how I'm making them and they're giving them and their families a better shot at the American dream and having a better life in our town. But then the ROI on any investor that's not in my town is even harder to justify. It's like, yeah, well, if I win, I'm not going to impact you, but hopefully you're going to know that, you're supporting a moderate Democrat who has hopefully the same values as you, or close to the same values as you, and can create a model for that type of person, a non-politician that believes in the same or similar values to run and to win. And I think it's a possible sell to close friends. It's a tough sell to people that don't know me, who are not in my town. Like, that's a tough sell.
Yeah.
But I got no choice but to try to make it work.
Yeah. Well, and I think as somebody who is multiple states away from you and who is, actively participating in this campaign in a very unique, groundbreaking way, the reason why I signed up is because I want more local government to act like this. And I think that that's one of the most important things. I can't necessarily vote for you on my local town ballot, but I can participate in different ways. And one of those ways can be time. It can be money. It can be so many different things. And I know that there was a person that came to you. I mean, let me back up. You have a vast network around the world. And you're asking all these people to support you. And their immediate thought goes to, well, I can't vote for you. What do you say to that?
Yeah. No, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm getting a lot of people that have written to me and have said, I wish I could vote for you. Well, to them, I now have this perfect line, or I see it as perfect line. I'm like, well, you can vote for me. They're like, wait, what? They're like, what kind of secret under the table bad things are you doing? I'm like, no. I'm not creating ballots as, would-be Democrats and Republicans would perhaps argue about the other side. No, I said there's two ways there's two ways that you can vote. And perhaps to your point, Jess, there's three ways you can vote. You can vote actually if you live in the town, but you can vote with your wallet if you don't. And I don't need to raise $10,000 from somebody that doesn't live in my town. But if my LinkedIn following if 1% of my 600,000 LinkedIn following donates $10 to my campaign. Well, I just raised a ton of money. And it's just a reality. People don't necessarily think about it. So, and I get that. So, like, I'm here to remind them, and I will. I got to do the work. But that really is a second way that you, and to your point, the third way is volunteering time. I don't really need time yet, but as I get closer to the election, and the weather's nicer, I'll need all the door knockers. The downside to time, Jess, is, like, realistically speaking, in a town government, door knocking is probably a lot bigger than, like, phone banking. But yeah, I guess people from anywhere could potentially do phone banking. Bottom line is this: people, if you want to support a candidate, whether they are in your local area or anywhere in the country, or for that matter, the world, writing them a check makes a difference. Writing them even a $10, skipping the latte and writing a $10 check, or giving a $10 contribution online makes a huge difference. And if enough people did that, then smaller candidates would have a much bigger shot and wouldn't be sitting, like, I'll talk to anyone, but if I'm having a conversation with, let's say, a building developer who wants to write me a big check and then is going to expect that, I'm going to make it easy for them to develop their building in an area that's zoned, for residential in our town, like, I won't be swayed by the fact that they wrote me a big check. I need to be true to who I am and to the needs of our community. And I think what happens is a lot of people maybe start out that way, and then they get swayed by the money, and they it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard, especially for politicians that maybe aren't business people and aren't good at asking for money, when the money is thrown their way by somebody that has intentions that might not be consistent with what the town or city or state needs. That's where friction is created, and ultimately where, unfortunately, I think a lot of electeds go down the wrong path, right? It's like,
Yeah.
people talk about power corrupting people, but I think money is the root of that corruption of power. Ultimately, it's like because people need the money, so then they'll
Well, money's power currency.
right.
At the end of the day, that's what it is, especially in this country.
Right. I think the good news is we're doing this on camera. We're recording this whole thing. I am not perfect, and I don't claim to be perfect,
Yeah.
but I do claim to be accountable, and to that end, nothing would make me happier than looking back on this recording 10 years from now and thinking, okay, I did it right. I did what I said I was going to do. I listened. I did the work to fundraise the money, but I was not beholden to anyone. I won't do that. The only people I'm beholden to are my constituents, and that's really, that's my belief, and I'm sticking to it. And the day that I can't stick to that is the day I need to retire from this business. So hopefully, and I haven't even started yet. So hopefully I can do it, Jess.
Starting your morning with back-to-back meetings? Dunkin' has been keeping America's leaders moving for generations. Try our new brown sugar cookie cold brew, topped with brown sugar cold foam. Smooth, bold, and perfectly balanced. Pair it with a fresh baked croissant when you need that extra boost. Join DD Perks through the Dunkin' app or at Dunkin.com and start earning rewards on every purchase. The candidate runs on Dunkin'. It reminds me of something that was posted in the media shortly after your announcement, and you had the funniest comeback. It was a Republican talking point. I can't even remember the name of the gentleman who was saying that, you know, you were going to be beholden to the crookeds and blah, 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 and take
Yeah.
marching orders from them. And I loved your comeback because we've talked about it in this podcast, and I know you and I know Carrie, and you said, the only person I take marching orders from is Carrie. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. No, it's hysterical. Well, I just launched, and his name is Joe Cairo, and I guess he like runs the Republican Party in our county, and I think he's like kind of like the power broker of the Republicans. So he literally speaks for them, right? He's like, I guess, the spokesperson or whatever, and runs the county party, and I think the playbook for the Republicans in our county is compare them to the very unpopular Democratic governor, Kathy Hochul, call them liberals, call them radicals, call them progressives. That's like the playbook. But they maybe haven't done a lot of research on me because, like, I'm a pro-business, serial entrepreneur. I'm not a liberal progressive. Like, that's not who I am. Like, and that might upset some liberal progressives in the Democrats, but that's literally not who I am. So they yeah. So he goes. Kerpen clearly takes his marching orders from liberal Kathy Hochul, and I said, Joe, I got news for you. The only person I take marching orders from is my wife, Carrie, and I felt good about it. It sort of reminded him that A, I'm not taking him so seriously, and B, this is where I stand. This is not me. By the way, we've been talking about fundraising and party politics. Let me end, I think, with this fun fact, Jess, that I am really, really proud of. I've got my first fundraiser tomorrow, and got about 70 people coming. It's going to be a great event. It's a super interesting mix, just like my announcement was, of like my friends and people that have never really supported a politician before, and like Democrats who have no idea basically who I am, but they're sort of learning through the podcast. By the way, a lot of I know that a lot of the local Democrats have given me really good feedback, Jess, about the podcast. So thank you again.
Fantastic.
But I have not one, not two, but three people that have said to me, "This is my first political contribution." A lot of people said my first political contribution, probably 20, but three have said, "This is my first political contribution, and I'm a lifelong Republican, and I never thought I would make my first political contribution to a Democrat, but here I am." And that has made me really, really proud, because at the end of the day, it should not be about Democrats versus Republicans. It's insane. No. It should be about who's the best person to lead our town and to give us the services that we need at a good cost, and to make our lives a little bit better and a little bit easier. And that's what I'm aiming to do. And I'm really grateful that I have friends and supporters out there who see that versus the D versus R kind of thing.
I love that. And I think, you wanted to end on that, but there is a hat that you have to wear that I think ties into this.
Okay. Yes.
You got to put on the hat.
Talking about fundraising, I want to get some dollars either for the campaign or for you. Okay. Pop-up Bagels is here in our town in Roslyn, and it's popped up all over New York, and they have the best bagels. And what they do is every week, they sort of got famous on TikTok. Every week they release a different schmear and a different butter, different cream cheese and different butter flavor that you put in the bagel, and you dip the bagel in. It's very different from your traditional bagel.
Especially New York bagel.
Especially New York. The bagels are amazing, amazing bagels. And here's the cool thing, Jess. Their slogan is not famous, but known. When I saw this, my wife got me this hat right away, because she was, first of all, it's orange. Yeah. But second of all, not famous, but known. Like, that could work for a campaign too, right? I don't need to be famous, but I need to be known. I need to be known as the guy that's going to help make the difference in their town. So Pop-Up Bagels, if you're looking at this, we need sponsors. Let's talk.
And also send us bagels.
Oh, we need bagels too.
All right, Dave. Well, thank you so much. And
talk to you soon.
Until next time. Thanks for going behind the scenes with us on The Candidate. If you enjoyed getting the real story about running for office, take a moment to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Your support means the world to us. See you next time. Everyone's career path is different. Whether you're transitioning into public service or building your professional network, LinkedIn helps you make the right connections. Showcase your experience, discover new opportunities, and join conversations that matter in your industry. With LinkedIn Premium, you get insights about who's viewing your profile and advanced search filters to help find the right people. Start expanding your professional network today at linkedin.com. LinkedIn, connect to opportunity.